Hey guys, hope everyone's doing really well. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about Jiu-Jitsu philosophers, BJJ philosophers. I'm just going to jump in. Just going to talk about a few different figures that have backgrounds in philosophy, and they also do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the first one is probably the most well-known person. His name's Sam Harris. He's an American author, philosopher, and neuroscientist. He has a BA, Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, as well as a PhD in neuroscience. And so Sam Harris is someone that I didn't really know a lot about. I mostly heard of him through like my friends that follow his podcast. So he's really popular. He talks about a broad range of subjects that I'm not really going to get into, but if you guys want to check him out, he has his own website, samharris.org, I believe. Sam Harris, he's a blue belt or purple belt under Hirion and Hinner, the two Gracie brothers in, I'm not sure where they are, somewhere in LA. So, uh, so Sam Harris, he's a great writer. So I'm gonna read some quotes from his blog post, "The Pleasure of Drowning," and hopefully I'm gonna do this for the other guys too. But I want you to get a sense of like their philosophies on life and jujitsu. So again, this is from "The Pleasures of Drowning," and this is a blog post that you guys can find on Sam Harris's website. So it goes, BJJ offers a powerful lens through which to examine some primary human concerns: truth versus delusion, self knowledge, ethics, and overcoming fear. So that's pretty deep. One thing I really like about training jiu-jitsu is that you can really learn a lot about yourself, like who you are as a person, just from training. So, say for instance, when you start training, there's fear. You don't know what to expect from training jujitsu. You might come into an academy thinking like it's going to be the UFC or something. So, you're always going to be overcoming fear, and that fear is never really going to go away. Even as you progress, you're going to be competing against even, more knowledgeable opponents. So there's always going to be some level of fear, but just through training and being consistent, you're going to overcome that fear. So, another quote from that same blog post: grappling with an expert is akin to falling into deep water without knowing how to swim. To train in BJJ is to continually drown, or rather, to be drowned in sudden and ingenious ways, and to be taught again and again how to swim. So, with this, I'm not sure why I'm breaking down these quotes, but in jiu-jitsu, we always reference it being like swimming with sharks, but not knowing how to swim, because a lot of martial arts they focus so much on the standing part of it that well, not so much now, but they used to neglect just the groundwork, the ground game. So you could see this when the first UFCs were being made. Hoist Gracie, no one knew what to expect from him. And, he would go on the ground. And most people's impressions are that if you're on the ground, is that you're going to lose or that you are losing. But to be able to fight off your back and, submit bigger opponents, it's amazing. So again, Sam Harris, you guys can check him out. He has, very famous guy. I don't really follow him, but I have, really smart friends that love him. So again, his website is samharris.org. The next guy I'm going to talk about is pretty popular. He's very well known in sport jiu-jitsu. His name is John Danaher, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Renzo Gracie. He's also regarded as one of the best grappling coaches in the world. So he's taught guys like George St. Pierre, GSP, Gary Tonin, Eddie Cummings, Gordon Ryan, Nicky Ryan, and several other well known and up and coming athletes. So John Danaher, he's definitely a pretty eccentric guy, but he's so well known just throughout the jiu-jitsu community. Um, So a little bit about him. He has a master's degree in philosophy from Columbia University in New York. And I believe he started training jiu-jitsu after watching some bouncer friends using jiu-jitsu to kind of handle fights. And I like this because I have a lot of friends that are bouncers in Atlanta. One of my really good friends, Uli, he's probably like one of the more well-known guys in Atlanta in the night scene there. And he has several stories of just, using his jujitsu to control like, crazy, drunk person trying to hurt himself or someone else. And I think that kind of shows you how effective jujitsu is because if you only had, if you didn't know how to, like, for instance, say you just knew how to kick and punch, that's really great for protecting yourself. But say you need to, hold back a friend or, control someone, it's really important that you have that grappling background to control someone without hurting them. Because at least in the U.S., if you use too much force, like you can go to jail. Even if you're protecting yourself, if you use too much force in protecting yourself, you're the bad guy. You go to jail. So using jujitsu, you can not hurt someone. You can just control them and wait for someone like the authorities to come or wait for the person to calm down, all without hurting them. So back to John Danaher. He's a Danaher. There's different ways to say it. He's a very eccentric guy. He's probably has like OCD or something. So one thing with him that kind of makes him stand out is that he constantly wears a jiu-jitsu rash guard everywhere. And there's a pretty funny story of him wearing a rash guard to a famous fighter's wedding. I believe it was Matt Serra's wedding. So just imagine, you invite this guy to your wedding, and weddings are usually pretty formal. You wear like tuxedo or really nice suit, and here comes this dude wearing a rash guard to your wedding. So that's pretty crazy. But that just kind of shows you just how this dude lives and breathes jiu-jitsu. So again, he's a coach out of Renzo Gracie's academy in New York, and I know John Danaher. He has really great competitors in the nogi circuit right now, specifically like submission only fights or tournaments. But I also know him, and he's well known for his very long, in-depth posts on social media. So he's so smart, but man, he'll write these really long posts. Um, that you gotta like scroll down and you keep scrolling down. It's like it's an essay in a social media post. So that's what he's really well known for. I don't believe he has a website, but you guys can check him out on Instagram or Facebook. He posts pretty regularly through those media forms. So I'm just gonna read some quotes. Again, the quotes are just used to kind of give you an idea of who these people are and just their philosophies on life. Um, so one quote from uh, from John Danaher, it goes, "Anyone can find the end of the lever and position the fulcrum optimally on an unresisting partner. The challenge is to create a training program where students can reliably do so against full resistance from a knowledgeable opponent." So another quote more about jiu-jitsu specifically it goes, "The deepest benefits of jiu-jitsu come off the mat. It encourages a worldview based upon the idea of rational problem solving. Jiu-jitsu is all about solving problems that are rapidly changing under stress, and that gives you an ability to identify the crux of the problem in front of you, even in a stressful situation, and adapt your body and tactics to overcome that problem and to continue overcoming it as the problem itself changes. It encourages you to use a very rational trial and error method, basically the same method that science uses to overcome these problems. So it gives you this sort of problem solving mindset, which I think applies throughout life itself." So I fully agree with this quote. Just doing jujitsu, it's something that keeps evolving. It's something that you have to keep updated. You have to keep working. You have to keep thinking about. Because if you don't do these things, it's gonna pass you by. And I see this a lot with older, or my friends that maybe stop training for a while and then they pick jujitsu up back a few years later. It's like, man, it's almost like a different sport for them, a different art. Um, you're gonna learn how to solve problems with your jujitsu. Um, but don't think of like, say like you're trying to work your guard passing or something. Like you can solve problems like that. But what's really important is if you can use that same mindset outside of your normal life, just how to solve problems, how to stay calm under stressful situations, how to keep focusing on what you need to do and not get distracted. So there's so many benefits in training. Again, John Donaher, you guys can follow him on social media. That's probably the best way to follow him. The next guy is someone that I know personally, and I consider him a friend, but I'm not sure. If you're listening, Sam, do you consider me a friend? Just message me back if you do. So Sam, his name is Sam Yang. So a few years ago, I actually met him before I really knew him that well. So a few years ago, he was driving around the country, kind of like living out of his car and just training for a few months. This might have been like 2007, maybe like 2007, 2008, 2009, maybe sometime during that period. He decided to come to Atlanta to train, and I think I met him, but we used to get so many people just coming in through our schools back then that it was kind of hard to keep up with everybody. Um, I think I met Sam then, but I didn't really know him too well. But later on, I began following his posts on Facebook and his blog, or his blogs at musttriumph.com. Sam is a martial artist. He's done a lot of different martial arts. Just I think for over the course of his life, and he's a critical thinker. He's also a street philosopher. So I'm not sure what his educational background is, but I follow Sam just because his philosophy is so great. Um, he lives and trains in Los Angeles, and he trains with Cobrinha. He's a brown belt. I think he got it maybe last year or 2 years ago. Um, so I was really lucky enough to we were able to meet up last year and grab coffee, and we were just talking along with my friend Danny Donahue. So we were all just hanging out. So I really appreciated just having that ability to meet him and hang out with him. Um, Sam also has like his own personal training business called All Out Effort. So his focus is, basing workouts on science over sweat and vomit and tears. So a lot of times we think of, oh, I sweated a lot, so I must have worked out hard, but that's not the best metric to measure your workouts. So he's big on like keeping track of your workouts and logging your progress to see what the data shows. So measuring like everything, not just how much you sweated, but your weight, your heart rate, everything you can think of, like the measurements of your lifts, like have your lifts gone up or are they going down? So Sam is relies a lot on data. So I'm going to read a few quotes from some of his essays and blog posts. The first one is from a Facebook post, I believe, and it goes, I have so much going on. I don't always want to train, but I still somehow end up showing up. Someone told me I must really love it. Love isn't the right word. I don't do it because I love it. I do it because it's meaningful. And this quote really sits with me because there are going to be times where you don't want to train. You want to stay home. You want to relax on the couch, or you want to just eat some pizza or something. But you're not going to enjoy every day of training. And usually, I hate to say it, but usually the days that you don't want to be there are the days that you actually make the most progress on. And like after you do jiu-jitsu for so long, you're not always going to feel like uh, you want to train, but it's meaningful. It becomes a part of your life and your routine and your habit to train. So I think, if you want to you want to do jiu-jitsu for a long time, like there has to be meaning in it. You have to find meaning from the training, not just to get stronger or get better, but just the process of learning. I think that's what's helped me continue to keep training. I love being there, even when I'm tired and I don't want to be there. I still go. Um, so the next quote is from an essay called "On the Meaning of the Belt of a Belt." So it goes, a martial artist used to be a person people could turn to, a pillar of strength, advice. They protected their village and they offered up kindness. Aim for being a black belt in life. Train consistently. Focus on getting better every day with your technique. Be resilient, and the rest will take care of itself. So man, you know, I follow Sam Yang for a reason, and this is kind of why. It's just he can, he's a martial artist. He's been doing martial arts for his whole life, but being able to apply the lessons that you learn in training and apply that to your life, that's where the gold is. That's where you really develop as a person. So my last quote I'm gonna read from Sam. It's pretty short. I know this video is kind of long, and it's from the essay "Why I Never Quit Martial Arts." And the quote goes, "Ultimately, I have this sense that somehow training makes me a better person." And I have to agree with it. I've seen a lot of people, they train and, something changes within the person. I've seen different changes in people, maybe the person was an asshole, but they began to like learn how to, trust others and, be giving. I've seen people kind of, develop confidence in themselves, people that were really shy and kind of meek, you know, kind of find themselves and, become, who they're meant to be. I've seen I've seen people, very aggressive, very angry, become calm and more considerate of others. So jiu-jitsu has a lot of power to help people, not just on the mat. One thing I couldn't find the quote I was looking for it, but Sam, I'm gonna paraphrase what he said, but pretty much it goes that if all you get from training martial arts is just how you just learn how to beat people up, then you're really kind of doing yourself a disservice in the fact that of course competing and doing well in competition is important, but at the end of the day, the whole point of doing martial arts is to develop yourself as a person, to become a better person. No one really needs to rely on the martial arts to protect themselves because the world has changed. You don't have to fend for your life using your skills, but you can take the lessons that you learn from training, the confidence, the discipline, the humility. You can take all of those lessons that you learn and apply them in your life to make you a better person. Um, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring up these philosophers, just because, they all have different approaches to jiu-jitsu. I follow Sam more than the other guys, but that's just because he resonates with me more. But maybe John Donaher might resonate with you more, or maybe Sam Harris. Um, but I think that you need some type of philosophy in martial arts because if you're just learning how to beat people up or just how to compete, you're really not getting a full view of what jiu-jitsu is and what it can do and what it can accomplish. So I just wanted to introduce these guys. Of course, there's other philosophers in jiu-jitsu, but these are like three main ones that I hear about all the time or that I follow personally. So if you guys have any other people that I missed, you know, add them to the comment section for me. Otherwise, guys, please like this video and subscribe. Also, please go check out my Instagram. I'm working on that as well as my Facebook fan page, which I'm going to add in the description area. Until next time, guys. Ciao.